Greetings, everyone. Since WCAIS went live in 2013, its appearance in terms of spacing and coloring and functionality have remained pretty much the same for a lot of reasons, some very technical and some just practical. The appearance of WCAIS will be changing over the coming months, we feel, for the better. We want to assure you that all of the functionality that has been developed and will continue to develop through enhancements and improvements will remain the same. So whether you're filing petitions or answers, making requests, uploading evidence, filing briefs, communicating to the judge or his or her staff, all of that will remain the same. So don't panic. Certainly, if you have any questions, the BWC Helpline is available. The WCOA Resource Center is excellent in answering questions, as I know you guys all know. I don't have to stress to you how important WCAIS is. If you didn't know that now and don't appreciate how it got us through the pandemic, then you probably never will. So I've always urged lawyers themselves, as well as their staff, to be somewhat conversant in the language of WCAIS. Retired Judge Ken Walsh once said something to me when I first became the director that struck home. He said, WCAIS is the language by which you communicate to the court. We don't expect attorneys to be absolutely fluent in the language, but you should have some basic command of the language. So please do that. Continue to develop your skills in WCAIS. We believe that the digital transformation that you're going to be getting some instruction about will help WCAIS be even more functional for you. With that, I'll pass the mic to Chairman Frioni, who has a few words for you also.
Thank you. As Director Dorita stated, I am Al Frioni, Commissioner and Chairman of the Workers' Compensation Appeal Board. Today's training will orient you to the new look and feel of the WCAIS screens, which have undergone digital transformation. In 2020, the WCAIS Digital Transformation Project began with the goal of updating the technology platform of WCAIS and improving the user experience. This project is continuing with more screens being transformed to the new platform. We are confident that you will find it easier and quicker to navigate the updated screens. The Digital Transformation Project will eventually be completed for all WCAIS screens. We hope your experience with these screens will leave you excited for the remainder of the transformation. I will now turn it over to the WCAIS training team.
Thank you. First, I will provide an overview of digital transformation. We will then do a deep dive on a few of the impacted screens to showcase the new user experience. To conclude, we will review important reminders and next steps. Up first is the digital transformation overview. When the digitally transformed screens go live, only certain screens will have a different look and feel. The rest of the screens in WCAIS will remain unchanged. The impacted sections include adjudication screens, including WCOA petitions, the WCOA dashboard, and the dispute summary, as well as the WCAIS homepage, WCAIS dashboard, and more. The steps used to complete your WCAIS activities will not be changed. However, the screen design is now updated. Links on the dashboard, which lead to screens which have already been digitally transformed, will now display the new design for those screens. However, not all screens have been digitally transformed, so you will still navigate to some screens with the current view. For example, the dispute summary will be digitally transformed, so if you navigate to a dispute using the My Dispute section on the WCAIS dashboard, you will see the new design. However, the Appeal and WCAB petition summary has not been digitally transformed. Therefore, if you press the links on the My Appeals grid, for instance, you will see those screens with the current design. And as a reminder, the Attorney mobile app will continue to be available for performing some WCAIS tasks on the go. However, with the new flexible design, you may wish to use WCAIS on a mobile device for your adjudication-related activities. Both are good options depending on your preferences. There are new screen functions, buttons, and icons that will be universal across all digitally transformed screens. We will show these during our deep dive later in this session. At the top of each screen, you will see a green button that will allow you to expand or collapse the WCAIS menu. Additionally, the Enhanced Search section will continue to be available. Currently, a green Go button would be pressed to use Enhanced Search. Now, you can enter information and then press the magnifying glass icon. Furthermore, you'll have a drop-down menu to log out and a question icon to access the Customer Service Center. Buttons are now colored to indicate the type of response you can expect when it is pressed. They are also located strategically to make tasks more intuitive to complete. A blue arrow button will now display in the bottom right when you scroll to the bottom of a screen. Pressing this button will automatically scroll you to the top of the screen. Certain processes will display a progress bar, which will show which sections have been completed, which section you are on, or which sections are not yet started. The use of icons will increase to allow users to quickly view a screen and select the correct action. Using the dispute summary, let's take a look at some of the functions which will be available on all digitally transformed screens. Notice that some overall layout changes have been made. The WCAIS menu is now located on the left-hand side, so it can be accessed anytime while scrolling through a screen. If you wish to collapse the menu, the green button with 3 lines in the upper left will allow you to collapse the menu so only the icons are visible. Moving across the top of the screen, the WCAIS logo can now be pressed to navigate back to the WCAIS dashboard. The arrow next to the user's name can be selected to log out of WCAIS, and additionally, the Customer Service Center can be accessed by pressing the question mark icon in the upper right. WCAIS will now have a flexible design which will adjust based on your zoom level and screen size. On the next slide, we'll provide instructions for how to zoom in and out on a screen, but first we'll discuss some of the reasons that it may be beneficial to zoom in or out. The top screenshot shows the My Appeals section with a higher zoom level. Some of the benefits that we can see is that the text is larger and also the menu is displaying larger. So if you are having difficulty reading the screen or pressing buttons or menu items, consider zooming in. The lower screenshot shows the same area on the dashboard, but with a lower zoom level. The benefit to zooming out is that you are able to see all the columns in this grid without needing to scroll to the right. Now let's take a look at how you can zoom in or out on a screen. There are various ways to zoom in or out, but a few options include pressing the Control key and then the plus or minus key if you're on a PC. And then similarly, on an Apple keyboard, you may press the Command key and the plus or minus key. A different option is to press the Control key on your keyboard and scroll up or down using the scroll wheel on your mouse. Yet another option to adjust the zoom is to access the browser settings. Press the 3 dots in the upper right corner of the browser to display the settings menu. Then use the zoom menu item. An additional reminder, as Internet Explorer is no longer supported by Microsoft, using a different internet browser will allow for optimal performance of the WCAIS application, particularly the new digitally transformed screens. When accessing WCAIS, please use either Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Mozilla Firefox. At this time, we'll go through some of the digitally transformed screens. As mentioned, the WCAIS homepage is being digitally transformed. As you will see with all digitally transformed screens, The same links and actions which are currently available on the homepage will continue to be available. Let's zoom in on some of the sections of the homepage. The area where you will log in will have a slightly different look, but just as you do right now, you will log in using the text fields within the Keystone graphic on the right. Your Keystone ID and password will be the same. Additional information about each program area will continue to display at the bottom. You can access this either by pressing the links which are underlined in blue, or by pressing the navigation icons next to each link. Next, we'll review the improvements to the WCAIS dashboard. We'll take a look at the dashboard over the next few slides to cover the different sections. The first thing you will notice about the dashboard is that the content now covers the entire width of the screen. Currently, there is a menu on the right-hand side which causes the content to only span part of the screen. Two items that have moved, which you should be aware of, include the Personalize the Dashboard section and Quick Links. Your current personalization will be present when the dashboard is updated. However, if you wish to add additional sections to your dashboard, select that item from the Personalize Your Dashboard drop-down menu and press the Add Item button. To access the Quick Links, you will now scroll to underneath the Alerts section of the dashboard. As a reminder, certain links will not lead to digitally transformed screens because the screens they link to are not yet digitally transformed. For example, the WCAB dashboard link within Quick Links will continue to navigate to the WCAB dashboard with its current design. Next, let's take a look at the Alerts section. To view alerts which are currently closed, you will press the plus icon. To collapse them, press the minus icon. The Correspondences section will now automatically load when you access the dashboard. Right now, the Show Recent Correspondence button had to be pressed for the correspondences to load. That button will no longer display as the correspondences will show automatically. That being said, it may take a few moments for each section to load. It's not necessary to wait for every section to load before using the dashboard. You can simply scroll down to the section you wish to access. There will be new icons on the dashboard, and you can hover your cursor over them if you're unsure of their function. The two arrows making a circle can be used to refresh a specific section, and the X icon can be used to remove a specific section from your dashboard if you wish to personalize your dashboard to no longer display that section. You can always add it back using the Personalize Your Dashboard drop-down menu at the top of the screen. Now let's talk about the new graphics, which I'm sure have caught your eye. These graphics can be used to visualize how many of your claims or whatever type of matter you are looking at are in each status. The graphics are interactive, so by hovering your mouse over a specific color, a pop-up will display with the status name and how many of your claims have that status. Another very helpful and functional feature of these graphics is for their ability to filter the grid on the right. If you press, for instance, the No Froy part of the graphic, then the grid will only show claims which are in No Froy status. Now, if you wish to filter in additional statuses, you can press the statuses that display beneath the graphic, and those which you press will be included in the grid. You can tell which statuses are presently filtered into the grid by seeing which statuses are crossed out and which ones can be easily read. As you can tell, the graphics aren't just helpful visually, but they are also very functional and intuitive. The last section of the dashboard that we will review is the upcoming events. A key will display at the top of the calendar to indicate what type of event each color signifies. Also, you have options to view the calendar either in day, week, or month format, depending on your needs. You can press the calendar icon to navigate to a specific date, and the highlighted numbers show that an event is currently scheduled for that date. Also, if you want to see the details of an event, press the event on the calendar. Here you can see that once an event is pressed, a pop-up displays with the details of the selected event. In order to access the Hearing or Mediation Information tab of the dispute summary, press the View button in the bottom right. Next, the WCOA dashboard. This screen will continue to be accessed through the Quick Links menu. The exact same content will continue to display on this screen, just with an updated look and feel. And for reference, if you wish to support a specific grid by a certain column, you can do so by pressing the arrow in the column header. Those will start out as a double-sided arrow, and then once a column is selected, the arrow will point in one direction, indicating whether it is sorted in ascending or descending order. There are a few functions that we would like to point out that will make navigating WCAIS easier. Note that the menu has been collapsed on the left-hand side. It can still be navigated even when closed. If you hover over an icon, the description of that menu item will display, and you can click through to the necessary drop-down selections. Additionally, if you are scrolled down on any digitally transformed screen, you will continue to have access to the enhanced search feature in the upper right corner. Currently, you would need to scroll back to the top in order to use this feature. Should you need to scroll back to the top of any digitally transformed screen, there will now be a blue up arrow that displays in the bottom right corner that will automatically scroll all the way to the top of the screen. The search dispute screen will now only display one type of search criteria at a time. You can select the type of search from the drop-down menu at the top, and then the corresponding search criteria will display. Once the correct dispute is found, press the dispute number link to navigate to the dispute summary. On the dispute summary, you can see what the matter information looks like when it is expanded. If you wish to collapse this section so it will take up less space, the up arrow can be selected beneath it. To view more information about the claim, the plus icon in the upper right corner of the screen can be pressed so that an extra set of details will display beneath the current details. Also, an eye icon will display next to a number of fields and headers. These can be pressed to display a small pop-up which provides additional information about that section. Pressing it a second time will collapse the pop-up. Please note, if you access the dispute summary from a non-digitally transformed screen, for instance, from an appeal or a WCAB petition summary, the dispute summary may display with the current design. This is to be expected until all screens are digitally transformed. On this slide, you can see what the matter information section looks like when collapsed. You will still be able to see the claim and dispute number, but that section will take up much less space. Should you need that information again, you can simply press the Matter Information tab to expand it. The same tabs which currently display down the left-hand side of the screen will now display horizontally across the top of the screen. Now, we will demonstrate the process to file a claim petition. Additional reference slides are included in the presentation which was distributed that describe this process as well. So I'll open up our menu so we can see the WCOA option. I'll select petitions and then file a petition. I'm going to collapse our menu so we can see the entire screen. And now It is very important that you do attempt to find the claim that you wish to associate with this petition, and that can be very simple. You can just be entering the Social Security number, for instance, of the claimant or any information related to the claim in this top toolbar. So I'm going to enter the Social Security number of the claimant that I am searching for and press the magnifying glass icon, and then my claim is going to display. Now I'm going to press the Associate button in order to associate that claim. All right, and now I've moved into the file petition process. So first I'm going to select my petition type. I'm going to select a claim petition. And then scrolling down, I am going to press the continue button. But just to point out a couple of buttons within this process, we'll see here that we have both gray buttons and green buttons. So green buttons are going to be the primary button on any screen. So in this case, continue, or it could be submit or save and continue. Gray buttons are anything that will take you back to a previous screen. It might remove information, such as back, cancel, or clear. And so those have been moved off to the left-hand side to avoid accidentally pressing them and then losing information. So we're going to press continue and move on to our steps of the process. At the top of the screen here, we can see that the matter information displays. If you already know which claim you're looking at, you don't need this information. You can press the up arrow beneath this matter information, and that will collapse. So you can still see the claim number, but you don't have to take up quite as much space with all of that information. All right, we're going to begin by pressing injury as our reason for filing this petition. And then we'll press continue. But just as a note of other button colors, we also on this screen have this save as a draft. And as you can see, it is blue. So blue are not the main button on the screen. They don't remove any information. They're kind of an intermediate step that you might do. Sometimes they're optional, sometimes they're not, but it's not going to be the main button on a screen. It's just an additional option or process that you have. So now I'm going to press continue to move on to our second step. All right, and as we can see here, there is now a progress bar that displays across the top of the screen. Our select petition type section has already been completed, and it indicates that by showing a green checkbox. The complete injury details is the part that we are currently working on, so that is showing as a blue circle. And then the rest of our steps are still displaying as gray because we have not started those yet. So let's go ahead and move into our steps here. First, you'll enter your injury or disease description below. And so just to type in some information here, there are a number of fields within WCAIS that will have these diagonal lines displaying in the bottom right corner. And that indicates that if you have a lot of information in that field and you want to be able to expand that field, you can click and drag that bottom right corner in order to show all of it. So for instance, if we left that field small, we would need to use the scroll bar in order to view the rest of the information. But by clicking and dragging this corner, it opens up the entire field so we can see a bit more. Also, there are a number of fields that are going to display this red required indicator above the field. That means that that field is mandatory. So if you complete this step of the process and you haven't completed these required fields, you're going to get some sort of an error message that may come in the form of the the field itself being outlined in red and having an indicator that you must complete it, or on some fields, it will instead display the items that you've missed at the top with an error message. All right, next I'm going to select that yes, the injury or disease occurred on employer's premises, and that yes, the claimant or employee provided notice of the injury or disease, and I will select the date. And so you can either do so by entering the date, just typing it directly into the field, or there is also this calendar icon that displays. So whenever I press that, a small pop-up is going to display with the current date highlighted in green. And then once I press a different date, I'm going to press the 10th. If I open that back up again, we can see that the date selected is displaying in blue. And then we'll enter the way that the notice was provided, and indicating that no, the injury or disease did not cause the claimant or employee to stop working. And here I'm going to press continue to move on to our next step of the process. All right, so all the defendant employer information is going to display at the top. Then we'll enter the claimant or employee's job title at the time of the injury occurring. And indicating that they are back to work and their current position name. Next, we're going to enter in our wage information. As you'll see here, the fields that you're filling out are not going to be looking any different. Well, they'll look different, but they will have the exact same content that you need to fill in as you currently do. And then I'll press continue once we've filled out all of our necessary content. And just take a quick look at our progress bar here. We can see that the green check marks have been updating in the sections that we have already been completing. And then now we've moved on to the add additional defendant/employer section. And so that's displaying with a blue circle. And then we still need our last two steps. So those display in gray. Going to enter no that the claimant employee did not have any additional employment, and then press continue. Now we're on to our seeking payment section. So I'm going to select, I'm going to check the boxes for the type of payment that is being requested, and then indicate whether there are any other pending litigations going on. And then to complete this screen, again, pressing the continue button to move on to our last step, which is our certification step. And as usual, you're going to need to enter a manner of service for each party. You'll do so by selecting the drop-down menu and selecting the appropriate type of manner of service. And then once all those are completed, we'll press our check marks to certify this. And then once all steps have been finalized, you can press the submit button. If you still need to check on a couple of details, feel free to select the save as draft option, but we're going to move forward with pressing the submit button. All right, and as you can see, we have a confirmation screen with our confirmation number. So if you would like to print this for your records, you can do so by pressing the print button in the bottom right corner. Or if you are all done, you can press the return to dashboard option and navigate from there. Now we'll move back into the presentation and go through a couple of more slides. Now we will look at the process to submit a brief. You will begin by navigating to the Briefs tab of the dispute summary. Select the radio button next to the brief you would like to submit, and then from the Action drop-down menu, select Submit Brief and press the Continue button. A pop-up window will display in which you will press the Yes button. Next, press the Upload Document button. This will now cause a pop-up window to display where you will press Browse to search for the correct document and then press the Upload button. If needed, you may select the document type link to view the brief document and verify that it is in fact the document you wish to upload. If you determine that a different document should be uploaded instead, you can press the Delete icon in the Actions column to remove that document. Once you are satisfied with the file uploaded, press the Continue button. Next, you will move to the Certification tab where a manner of service must be selected for each party using the drop-down menus. Once submitted, a confirmation screen will display. If you wish, you may print the screen for your records using the Print button on the lower right. Next, we will cover how to file a brief extension request. This process will begin in a similar manner to submitting a brief. Begin by navigating to the Briefs tab of the dispute summary. For a brief extension request, you do not navigate to the Request tab. From there, press the radio button for the brief, and from the Action drop-down menu, select Request Brief Extension and press the Continue button. From here, you will select either a number of days for the extension or a date on which you would like the extension to go to. On digitally transformed screens, read-only fields will display gray boxes. These may not be updated. Editable fields will display as white boxes. The process will continue in the same manner as submitting a brief by selecting Manner of Service for each party on the Certification tab, and the confirmation screen will display once it's submitted. Next, to submit a request, navigate to the Request tab of the dispute summary. You will select Submit Request from the drop-down menu and then press the Submit button. Begin by selecting the type of request from the drop-down menu. The applicable fields will display once the type of request is selected. Once the fields are filled, press the Continue button to move to the Certification section. Finally, we will look at the process to submit an answer. First, navigate to the Petitions and Answers tab of the dispute summary. Check the box of the petition which you need to enter an answer for, then press the Enter Answer button. As you can see, the top field displays a red Required note. That is used to indicate that it is a mandatory field. For some mandatory fields, if the screen is submitted prior to the field being completed, a red outline will display around the empty field. For other mandatory fields, an error message may display at the top of the screen. Also, some fields will display some diagonal lines in the bottom right corner. This indicates that the bottom right corner may be clicked and dragged to expand the field. For example, in the top field on this screen, the scroll bar would need to be used in order to view all of the information. But in the bottom field, the corner was used to expand the field, and all information can be viewed at the same time without needing to scroll. And finally, this process will end by selecting a manner of service for each party and then viewing the confirmation screen. Now, we will discuss some important reminders and next steps. As a reminder, the screens will be digitally transformed in February of 2023. The PowerPoint presentation we reviewed during this section was distributed via email, and in addition, A user experience guide was distributed via email to provide a quick reference for WCAIS users to better understand the new look and feel of the digitally transformed screens. Please review both the presentation and the user experience guide when your schedule permits. If there are other individuals in your office who use WCAIS, please forward this information to them so they may receive this training as well. Particularly, consider clerical assistants, paralegals, and administrators. Should you have any questions regarding WCAIS digital transformation or the new screens, please contact the BWC Helpline or the WCOA Resource Center for assistance.